But nonetheless, the department cannot have a sectoral approach, whatever the quality of the sectoral approach, without being complementary or supporting the overall strategy of the city and the future development. Take an example. Chinatown. Tainan Road, Chinatown. A lot of investment. It's not for the last 10 years, and we have been here 3 years ago, exactly on the same subject, on the same issue. And nothing happened since, so I'm glad. Why do you concentrate on this particular district with a lot of investment between the station, with the new system transport to the diamond park on the canal, when the center of gravity of Tainan has moved to another area? The area has no function anymore. Don't tell me I'm wrong. I can tell you that along the Chinatown has lost its function, its initial function. New functions have to be invented. But there is no vision of what kind of new function be invented. Just to say it will be a property development or even a cultural park at the tip of the diamond park is not enough. And to have two bridges, that recreating a kind of an island on the island itself, it's a strategic mistake for the future. Wutayo Kong, in my view, has no importance because the fact that you have the new train system, new road system, and you have a move from the commercial activity and the cultural activity just outside of that district. So the policy is right. The policy is right, but the strategy is wrong. In my view. So we have to open a debate with you. What is the future? What is the trajectory of the district in Tainan? So to save Chinatown doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. There are other districts which deserve better regeneration in order to support either commercial activities or cultural activities or scientific activities or economic activities. What about the connection with the harbor, on Ping Harbor? We did not visit it this year. Yeah. So, but maybe something wrong is happening there. Maybe you forgot that it exists. No. You know what I mean. So there is other districts, and I think that this idea of the visibility, the interpretation of the district is missing. But you just create a beautiful strategy for the inner city, but the question is inner city for who? For what? If it is only for the local people, is it for the visitors? Is it for the investors? Is it for the scientists? Is it for the businessmen? And you have to define the vocation of the different districts, what I call the trajectory of each of the districts, and define a specific strategy for each of the districts. And that, what I'm saying is that the work done by the department are perfect, but the strategy, in my view, is wrong. And that we have to enter into a dialogue and a debate on how we can redefine the objective based on all the information that we have received. Because each of the department and the plans provide a very interesting contribution toward the strategy which still has to be written. But we are on the right direction. But some steps are missing in my view.
I think they base their decision according to history.
Yes, unfortunately, decisions are based on available funding from central government for certain projects. Yes. We know that, and the project has to be done, whatever your personal reaction to the project, because that's the decision has been made somewhere higher level. And of course, history is playing a very important role in this decision. Hainan Underground is also the typical case.
Talking about the assessment of what is success. Yeah. What is success is defined as how much money we get from central government.
Exactly. Exactly. No. Yes, okay, here's the microphone.
Lawrence?
In fact, to come back to exactly that point, I think that if we're going to try to assess the relative merits of a strategy, it could not be done on the basis of the kinds of words that come through to us in each of the departmental presentations. Because, as we, I think, have all agreed, the words are very sound. We couldn't possibly disagree with anything that was presented by any of the departments. That only shows us that the decision-making environment is not clear enough. And I think that one of the challenges that we face now when we look at a territory as vast and as complex as the one you now face is that you couldn't synergize the work of all of your departments over the entire territory. It's an impossible task. There would be no way to understand a complete strategy. Certainly no way to allocate resources efficiently if you try to do it on the basis of a completely global view. But perhaps in some ways the challenge we face is simpler, because what we're trying to do is to become transformative. You're trying to assess how you can contest and alter the conditions that you currently are finding obstructive of your future development. And so I think one of the ways that you might want to look at it is to think in terms of pilot projects. And so I have to admit that when I saw the term flagship projects, I was expecting that we would be seeing integrated pilot projects that looked at this in terms of self-funding mechanisms, that would look at this in terms of ways of capturing the planning gain for public benefit, but in such a way that increasingly stakeholders would be drawn into making investments, commitments, to participate in the further development of the plan. And so I think that when we look at an image like this, I think it starts to move in the right direction, in that we at least are beginning to understand that there's a sense of an attitude for the success of the district as an integrated project. At the same time, at no point in any of the presentations did we get to the level of architectural detail or graphic reasoning or spatial reasoning that would enable us to assess the potential of any particular set of solutions. So I think around the table, everyone recognized that the proposed bridges onto the diamond is a design mistake. And what we can all recognize is that the development plans that are put before us by the engineers when we visited the site are too weak to ensure success. But I think that all that represents is, at the moment, the lack of a decision-making environment. How would we begin to put forward some kinds of workshops that would really set out different scenarios and ask who might become the stakeholders to the future of the project?
Thank you, Rob. Yeah, it's great.
I think it might serve as a microcosm to explore. Oh, sure. Okay. But I think it might. I will focus on a detailed aspect of what I heard, but I think it might serve as a microcosm, to discuss some of the broader issues. It's the railroad underground, which I think is a very interesting project, and we've seen. I've actually been impressed between the condition we saw in Taipei, in Nangang, hearing about Kaohsiung, and now here the magnitude to which the country and the localities are investing in such a significant infrastructure catalyst for transformation. What surprised me was the language around the project has been couched almost exclusively in the mitigation of existing negative conditions. Removing a barrier, removing traffic congestion, removing safety hazard. And then at the end, there's a single statement of an inevitable positive result, increased property values. Yet, I was surprised to hear in one of the mentions of this project, 2 new stations being created and a new anchor station at the main station. But in the economic development plans, in the physical planning framework, we haven't heard anything about the strategy for those new station areas, the strategy for the main station area, the mechanisms to capitalize on that investment and capture value. And unfortunately, I think we need only look at the high-speed rail station, which I know was out of the control of all of us in this room, to recognize that adding a significant infrastructure investment, plotting parcels, is not enough to ensure that that investment will be capitalized on by the private sector.